On today's show, we talk about whether you should marry someone of a different faith to you.
And welcome to TGI Monday. As you can see, we're on tour at the moment. We're trying out filming in different places. It's been great for me because it's just down the road and I've had a nice lie-in today. Great for you, Dan?
7:30 start.
Yeah, good. You're looking...
7:30, that's late.
That's good.
7 o'clock.
Lion.
That's why you're looking so bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, pal?
Yeah, I just had to fight across Eccleshall and all that to get here, so it wasn't too bad.
That's the way I normally go, yeah. And talking of bright-eyed and bushy-tailed...
I had to come and show you. Now, Alison, who came into TGI with the boxes of stuff, the one who does Alison's lovely stories, they're gorgeous, made this for me because she'd got one and I liked it. I'm going to wear my fox scarf
for Alison.
With joy. So
for Alison.
And talking about exciting knitting news, what's your knitting news?
Yeah, well, I am, you will be excited by this. I am finally casting off. I've still got to do the sleeve, so this isn't the last you'll see of it.
What does that mean?
It means I'm at the bottom.
Right.
Of what?
It's going to be a hoodie.
Right.
Maybe.
Anyway, right, let's get on with what we're really here for. We've had this question from Cricket Sam, who's one of our YouTube subscribers. Do subscribe to us on YouTube if you want to make sure you always see every episode. And he asked, I assume it's a he asked, is it right for a Christian to marry a person of another faith? Is it right for a Christian to marry a person of another faith? Great question, Sam. I'm going to call you Sam. I hope that's all right.
It's not cricket now.
Wow, I don't know. Anyway.
I'd go with Sam.
I'm going to call you Sam. Is it right for a Christian to marry a person of another faith? So it's an interesting question there, isn't it, about what it means, is it right for, and what sort of obligations and rules and things that we as Christians, are obliged to obey, and what things we have free choice over. But also that question of other faiths. So, Dan, maybe you want to start on this? What would you say?
One of my favourite movies is a movie called Machine Gun Preacher.
I've seen that on Netflix.
Yeah,
it's hilarious.
He comes out of prison. He comes out. He comes
on Netflix.
It's actually a true story. The guy comes out of prison and he finds out his wife has become a Christian.
Okay.
And he's quite upset about it. So he goes to the pub with his buddy and he says, my wife has found Jesus. And his friend says, well, better Jesus than the postman. And he says, I don't know, I could beat up the postman. And as crazy as that conversation is, there's actually something quite important behind that, is that marriage is an incredibly intimate thing. It's more than just romance, and it's more than just getting along, but actually, when you're a Christian, if you are married to someone who's also a Christian, and I appreciate not everybody is, but you both share a delight in a particular person, and that person is Jesus. That person is the most important person in your relationship. So in my marriage, God comes first, and he does for my wife. And if I wasn't married to a Christian, that dynamic that we have, for example, just the way we sort out arguments, or the way we sort out the way we deal with other people around us.
You don't argue, do you?
Almost never.
Christians don't argue.
Lays. Yeah.
But the way
is that sign that says lays?
But we have the same tools, if you like, in our toolbox. For
and you're
dealing with each
aiming
other.
for the same thing. Yeah.
I realise that actually not everybody is in Christian marriages, of course, and that's fair enough. But the reality is that I think if you are exploring marriage, that is something you need to take into account. Will my partner know how to handle it when I put Jesus first in everything?
Yeah. Go on, Zoe. So you're married to another vicar.
Yeah. Which is a great idea.
So, would you agree with that that's a help, that you both are Christians and you both are sort of having the same?
I think it is. There's no getting around that, really. But we also just need to. I do need to say something about, things we're obliged to follow. Actually, look, the Bible is full of guidance about things, and depending on how you read it, you're reading a particular guidance for a particular context. Because there's a bit of scripture that people pull out for this stuff, which is about being yoked unequally. And the reality is, though, that there are significantly more women than men in church. Yes. So if we get dogmatic about this stuff, we're basically saying, yes, actually, you need to stay single otherwise. And if we're married or not single and don't feel that's our vocation, then to say that about somebody else is a messy thing. That said, we also need to be honest about the challenges that having an interfaith marriage would have, and that's definitely real, and it's definitely something that should be considered, and advice and support along the way is really important, because marriage is hard work sometimes, and those big things are really important, because as Dan said, they're kind of part of who you are. Well, they definitely are part of who you are, and that can't be just taken out as a thing. It's not like a hobby. It's a bigger thing than this.
It's not like saying I play tennis and you play cricket, and we can sort of work that out.
And marriage is hard enough as it is. And the reality is that if you don't share something that's a priority in your life, that just makes it more difficult.
Yes. For sure.
And I do know many Christian women who are not married for that very reason. They've made a decision that, in actual fact, they don't want to marry someone who's not a Christian because they need to share that spirituality with someone.
Well, I'd made that decision too.
Well, I'm not prescribing it for anyone, but I am acknowledging actually that many women do that.
What would we think actually about the kind of situation that you mentioned in that ridiculous film where after people are already married, somebody becomes a Christian, so they're in that situation already.
Hallelujah.
Yeah, but actually there are still going to be difficulties there, aren't there? What would you say?
I've had the complete polar opposite experience of these two characters. So, in a way, what happened with me was when I started exploring my vocation to the priesthood, my wife stopped going to church and became an atheist, which was fantastic. It was brilliant.
Was that literally because of that?
I think what it was.
Kind of God can
No. It wasn't that. No, I think it was she started exploring her own faith a little bit deeper, and decided that it was all sort of made up and it wasn't true, which was kind of really it was very interesting, and also as well, it was phenomenal because when you love somebody, you love them for who they are. And that is, their faith is part of that. And she was always extremely supportive of me going into the priesthood because she could see that being a Christian was who I was. And in the same way, I was supportive of her beliefs because it was part of who she was. And that's what love is. Love isn't about making somebody like me so we can get on a bit better. Love is about loving someone because they're different. And the fascinating thing was, when we were in Murfield, because she was an atheist all the way through that, is that her theology was in lots of ways far better than some of the people there. And it was a great gift to the community and to my faith that I couldn't be married to someone who would just agree with me all the time. It really sharpened up my faith, because if I said something which was nonsense, she would turn around and say, no, because of this, and this.
That still happens in our house,
really, no, I know that, but I'm just saying that it was a great gift to us, and we made her we prescribed that she was the 26th doctor of the church because she was such a good theologian.
She was so good at doing that. There we go. Really so good. I think I wouldn't want to say it's a right or wrong thing. I don't think it's sinful, for example, to marry somebody who doesn't share the same faith as you. But actually there can be, and you know, as you say, Hal, there can be really good advantages in having that relationship with someone who does think differently from you, who makes you really think about what you do believe and why. But actually also there's a lot of advantages in being married to somebody who actually does share many of the same things and ideas. Hal, there's 27 seconds left if you're about to interrupt.
I was going to say that it's the same with ecumenism. That love.
Very churchy word. What do you mean?
Ecumenism means when you're married to someone or someone who thinks is in a different denomination to you. Basically, it's exactly the same. Is that you love the person because of who they are, and that love transfigures and makes those differences truly beautiful. And I think that is the key for it all, and that's why all this stuff about being unequally yoked is profoundly false.
I'm not sure that's quite the context of that passage.
No,
I don't think
anyway,
it is. I don't think it is.
On that note, we obviously disagree. We'd be interested to hear what you think. We'd be particularly interested to hear your experiences if you've been in that situation where you've been married to somebody who doesn't share the same faith as you, whichever way around that's worked.
Can Can I just say about my dreadful movie?
I enjoyed it.
I
said it was good.
It has a dreadful title.
I'm a rescuer of orphans.
Thanks for watching. We always love to hear your comments and questions. In particular, you can send them to us via email, via Facebook, via Twitter.